watching KSL Sports Live.
You know, it might not have looked like the Jazz did a whole lot at the trade deadline on Thursday, but if you talk to General Manager Justin Zanuck, he'll tell you that the Jazz were actually one of the few winners this week.
Okay, they did get a first-round draft pick, right? The only team in the league to get a first-round pick at the deadline without having to take on any extra money. The Jazz, of course, traded Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji to the Toronto Raptors for a 2024 first-round pick, as well as veteran forward Otto Porter Jr., who was injured, in guard Kyra Lewis. The Jazz now have 13 first-round draft picks over the next 6 seasons, as well as 3 first-round pick swaps. They also picked up an early second-round pick in the Simone Fontecchio trade to the Pistons the day before the deadline. That left many Jazz fans asking, why more draft picks and why not add a star player?
When you look at all the other various trades, there wasn't an impact player available that moves the needle in our timeline. And our timeline is one where we want to build around the core that we were able to keep intact. The strength of our team this year has been, I think we have a lot of depth. And some of it's young depth and needs to be developed. And this being part of the plan is you accumulate some assets that were, those teams paid a premium price relative to whatever else was in the market to acquire our players.
So you heard Zanuck and Ainge want a player that can move the needle, that can help this franchise make a run deep into the playoffs. They want to add to the talent that Lauri Markkanen already provides this team, but that player isn't out there yet, at least. When that player or players become available, the Jazz say they are in position to pounce.
You want to get the best players you can. You want to get the best players in the world. That's always I mean, and then you figure it out, because chances are if you've got 2 or 3 top 30 players, I don't really care what position or role. I think you can make it, the more the better. So we're looking for talent that's better than what we got.
Thanks to UCCU, we're excited to welcome Walker Kessler into the KSL studios. Walker, thanks for joining us. This is fun.
Happy to be here.
You know all about Life Elevated, right? Literally and figuratively. You've achieved greatness at a high level, and we want to give fans a chance to learn how you've done it. And it starts with where you grew up in Georgia.
Yeah.
It starts with your family. How did your upbringing and your family help you achieve greatness?
So I grew up in a little town south of Atlanta called Noonan, Georgia. I grew up with an older brother, older sister. I was the baby, so always got picked on at a young age. Yeah. But, you know, I think that it made me more competitive in a way, and my family in general is, you know, extremely competitive. My dad played college ball at Georgia, played overseas. My brother played college ball as well. My sister played beach volleyball. So, you know, we've always were competing, whether it was, you know, basketball or chutes and ladders. Didn't matter. And so I think because of that, you know, I'm where I am today.
At what point did becoming an NBA player become the goal? And what sacrifices did you have to make to achieve that?
Oof. I think around middle school is when I had a serious conversation. You know, like, I want to do this. Obviously, there was times where, like, you know, maybe not. But I think for me, the biggest sacrifice that I made was just, you know, choosing how to spend your time. For me, that was, you know, being in the gym as much as possible, doing everything I can to be great in that regard, but also, you know, enjoying, you know, life as a kid, because you don't want to be burned out as well. And that's the concern, but continuing to keep working.
Life Elevated is the Utah State slogan. It's part of your campaign with UCCU. Elevated checking, and when you're 7 feet tall, you have no choice but to live life elevated, right?
You know, you got to duck through some door frames and stuff like that.
So it's a perfect match. How much are you enjoying Life Elevated in Utah, and have you now in your second year had a chance to really enjoy it?
Yeah, I love it. The first week I couldn't breathe, but, you know, I think, you know, it's been great. I love the mountains are unbelievable. You know, the people are super friendly. You know, the altitude definitely is a big advantage, just being, you know, part of the Jazz. You know, I feel like everyone comes here and is automatically just like, you know, you can't breathe. So being able to play here in front of people, it's a lot of fun.
Your partnership with UCCU has led you to have an opportunity to star in some commercials, do a little acting. In fact, we've got one right now. Can we pull that up right now and play that?
Not in this break room.
UCCU's elevated check-in comes with tools that can help you block threats and protect your family online. Just like Walker Kessler protects the rim.
You just can't help it, can you? You got to block everything that comes your way. Don't go to a junior jazz game. That could get ugly.
Exactly.
But you had a chance to do some acting there, and I was talking to everybody at UCCU. They said you're a natural. How much fun did you have just cutting it loose and having fun making ads?
It was a blast. You know, fun fact about me, 7th grade, I did theater.
Really?
And I won the theater award at the end of the year. I played Santa Claus as a monologue.
You played Santa Claus?
I did. True story. True story.
Classically trained actor, Walker Kessler.
Listen,
you're a natural. Looks great.
That was my first career. You know, that's what I wanted to be. But, you know, basketball works too. So
when basketball isn't going to last forever.
Right, yeah.
Do you want to do some acting when you're done?
You know, who knows? You know, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, now on the court. How has life been in the NBA been different year 1 to year 2? Obviously, everyone knows who you are now in the league. They adjust to the way you play. How have you adjusted?
Yeah, you know, it's a lot different. I think, especially in the first year, like you said, you know, going into games, people don't really know, you know, who you are. They don't necessarily respect you just because you haven't been in a situation before. So going into second year, people knowing who you are, people having a scout for you, you know, definitely makes it more difficult. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned is to stay the course and keep, you know, regardless of the outcome, just keep moving forward, keep trying. And, you know, even though there's failures, try to take those failures and learn from them and, you know, turn to success.
Last year, All-Star Weekend was special here in Utah. You got to be a part of that.
A lot of fun.
You're going to get to do it again, this time in Indy as a part of the Rising Stars game. How excited are you for another opportunity to go there? And you get to go with a teammate as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know, me and Key, you know, very excited. You know, excited for him to experience it. You know, kind of show him the ropes a little bit. You know, we'll see. The Rising Stars game is really competitive. So, but you know, very excited. You know, very excited for the opportunity to be recognized and to be part of, you know, that weekend and to see some of the best basketball players, you know, in the NBA.
You know, you've done some reporting on the side when you've gone to some of these events. You got to ask Jokic questions.
I'm not going to say I'm a man of all trades, but I have
Is there
a lot
anything
of
you can't do?
I can't play soccer very well.
Okay.
I'm not very coordinated with my feet. So that is one thing.
So we found one thing, but you're so great.
That's about it, though.
You were great. I mean, you asked Jokic great questions last year. I mean, are we going to see more of that at All-Star Weekend?
Maybe. Who knows? Okay. You know, can't reveal all the surprises, but you know, excited for whatever it brings.
Can't wait for it. All right. How would you describe the Utah Jazz season so far?
You know, I think it definitely started out a little tougher than last year's season. I think that adding a lot of different pieces, you know, it takes time for guys and things to mesh. But I feel like, you know, playing a 10-man style, we've all meshed very well, and we all get along great, and we have great chemistry. And I think we're really tough to play against. You know, I think that it's tough to scout against all these guys when we have so much depth. I mean, even looking at last night, you know, we had, I think, 4 guys that closed the game that aren't starters. You know, it just depends on the night.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, you know, you never know who's going to bring it, but regardless of who brings it, everyone on the bench is always cheering for everybody, and it just makes it a lot of fun to play. How
has Will helped with that? Because one of the things that stands out to me about Will Hardy is we've seen the comments he makes, you know, the masterpiece of you-know-what after the one game, the Dallas game. But there's also this willingness to admit or to be flexible or to say, I need to learn or do better, like he did with Colin Sexton. How much do you guys appreciate that with him? Yeah, you know, I think that it takes a lot of humility for a coach to admit, you know, that he has to do better. Yeah. And I think that because of that, that's where, like, part of his greatness is. You know, as players, we respect someone who admits, you know, when they're wrong or when they can work on stuff. And because of that, we look at that and we want to be like that. You know, we want to take the blame for stuff that we're at fault for. And I think when you have guys like that that aren't all pointing the finger,
it makes it a lot more fun to play for, and it just makes guys just, be that much stronger.
Lesson for all of us how important humility is in everyday life.
No question.
Last thing I want to ask you, what's your favorite thing about Utah? What have you really had a chance to really enjoy and discover now that you've been here for a couple of years?
That's tough. I mean, it sounds naive or, silly or hallmark or whatever, but I think waking up every morning to those mountains and sitting out. I live in a condo on the 20th floor, so I have a pretty good view of the mountains. And in the morning, and when there's a golden hour and the sun sets and the skies are clear, it's you can't beat it. So for me, that's the best thing. And the people and fans, of course.
Of course, yes.
Want to throw that out there.
Yeah, and the media as well.
And the media, right. Exactly.
Okay.
Awesome stuff, guys. All right, going to college football now, where BYU added another quarterback on National Signing Day on Wednesday. They'll have 9 going into spring football. One of those 9, transfer Gary Bohannon. Why did he choose to come to BYU and compete for the starting job in Provo? Also, a big night last night in Logan as the Aggies honor a legend. That's all coming up next. National Signing Day in February. It just quite isn't the college football holiday that it used to be. The early signing period in December has changed that. But on Wednesday, BYU still added another quarterback to the roster, the high school MVP out of Kansas City, Dylan Dunn. Dunn will be joining BYU as a preferred walk-on, and he's joining BYU as the 9th overall quarterback on the roster. 4 of those QBs added between December and now. This past week, BYU also officially announced the addition of transfer quarterback Gary Bohannon, who started his career at Baylor and then went to South Florida. Now he's a Cougar with 1 year of eligibility to go. So, with the crowded quarterback room, why BYU?
This place is a special place. The atmosphere is lovely. The people are very, very welcoming. The staff, the players, they're just here. They love ball. They love each other. You can see that it's bigger than football here, and that's one thing that stood out to me. And coming here, it just felt like home. My mom came with me. She said the same thing. I just wanted an opportunity. I mean, I've missed the game for a year. I just want the opportunity to be able to compete and play again. So for me, being able to play again was all I needed to hear.
Okay, so you heard him. He hasn't played for a year. He suffered a torn labrum on his throwing shoulder just 7 games into the 2022 season at South Florida. Bohannon told Mitch Harper on Cougar Sports Saturday that the injury and early rehab process brought him to the lowest points of his life. But now his optimism is at an all-time high.
Really can't put into words how excited I am just to be out there. I mean, just working out every day. If you see me just smiling, embracing everything about it because I'm here. Like, we didn't know if I'd be here. I'm just thankful to be here, honestly. God has a plan. He works in mysterious ways. And for me, my journey was different. And it shaped me in a lot of different ways that I did not know that I need to be shaped in, and it's developed me, and I'm thankful for it. You look back on it, and at the beginning of the moments, you're like, why me, why me, why me? But all I can say is thank you for the way it went.
Gary's comeback would be a great story. Now to college hoops, a special night in Logan on Saturday. There have been many successful coaches and players at Utah State, but none have won more than Stu Morrill. And on Saturday night, the school did the right thing by naming the court after their legendary head basketball coach, Stu Morrill. He was honored Saturday night. There it is. Well, it looks good on that court. All-time winningest coach in program history, 402 wins. He had 14 straight years with at least 21 wins from 2000 to 2013, 8 NCAA tournament appearances in 12 years. Prior to that, USU had more than 3 straight 21 seasons and never participated in more than 3 straight postseasons. He coached 4 All-Americans, and he accomplished so much, making Utah State a special program while he was there.
It's your life goes by in a hurry. And a big part of my life was coaching college basketball. And certainly the highlight of my coaching career was Utah State. To think that all these years later, a Utah kid would get to coach at Utah State and get his name on the court. It's when Jerry called me, he just talked and I listened because I couldn't talk.
The Aggies' win over Boise State and BYU's win over Kansas State is helping their tournament resumes just a bit. BYU ranked 8th in the net and Utah State 28th in those net rankings. Both of them, along with the Runnin' Utes, are in the latest version of Joe Lunardi's bracketology. BYU currently receiving a 6th seed from him, Utah State a 7th seed, and Utah an 8th seed. Next up, BYU hosting Central Florida on Tuesday, Utah State visiting Wyoming on Wednesday, and the Utes will be at USC on Thursday night.
And you hear the crowd off camera on the Jumbotron as a little kid just going to town. There he is. That is what you call a cougar tail. And that is what you call a massacre, Coach.
That's what you call an upset stomach tomorrow morning.
Or right now.
You gotta love that. Our Any Hour Services play of the game comes to us this week from BYU, this young fan who became a hero at the Marriott Center last night. He's 11-year-old Beckham Bramwell. He went viral last night and on his way out of the arena, greeted by a swarm of Cougar fans. High fives all around for his great attempt at that Cougar tail.
They need to hang something from the rafters in honor of that young man, because that was a Hall of Fame performance. Women's hoops, Oregon visiting the Utes. Start off the game, Jensen with the wide open three. We go to the second quarter. More from Jensen. Layup inside. Utah takes a 21-15 lead. Next possession, Alyssa Peely with the steal. The transition layup. Now later in the third quarter, Anesh Vieta to Peely for the open three. Utah by 9 at that point, minutes before the half. Johnson gets her 1,000th career point. But that was Peely right there. And this script in no way matches the highlight you're watching right now. There we go! Another bucket for the Utes. Madison Wilkie takes a three at the buzzer. Utah 52-41. Oregon, they held them to 7 points in the fourth quarter. Utah goes on to get the win, 70-48, bouncing back after that loss to Oregon State.
I like the pink uniforms. The number 2 team in the country, Iowa, was visiting Nebraska. Caitlin Clark with the deep three puts Iowa up by 7 in the second quarter. Nebraska smelling upset. 30 seconds left in the game. Jazz Shelley for the lead. Hits the three to go up by 1. 6 seconds left. Clark had a chance to win, but misses. Kate Martin also with a chance, also misses. Nebraska getting their first win over Iowa since 2019, 82-79.
Big upset. Let's go to the NBA. Celtics and the Heat on Super Bowl Sunday. First quarter, Jaime Jaquez Jr. What a story he's been in Miami. He'd have a 1-point lead, 3 minutes left in the game. Tyler Hero with the three. Makes that a one-possession game. Next possession, Jaylen Brown with the reverse layup. Jaylen Brown's going to participate in the slam dunk contest. The Boston Celtics get a win. Now they've won 4 straight games.
How about the Kings in Oklahoma City facing the Thunder? Fourth quarter, Jalen Williams step back three gives OKC a double-digit lead. Minutes later, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with the crossover hits the three. He's an MVP candidate this season. SGA would finish with 38 points. Thunder winning 127-113. All right, Larry Markkinen has quickly emerged as a key piece in the Jazz rebuild. Named an all-star starter in his first season with the Jazz last year.
This year, he was left off the roster. Understandable. There's a lot of great players in the West, but he'll still be participating in All-Star Weekend next weekend in Indy.
Yeah, Markkinen was chosen as one of 8 competitors in the three-point contest. He is putting up career highs in makes with 3.3 per game, which is actually tied for 6th in the league, and a career high percentage from three-point line this season, 40.6%. This will be the second straight year Markkinen is in this contest. He is also making the 10th all-time appearance as a Jazz player competing in the three-point contest.
Markkinen also joins John Stockton and Jeff Hornacek as the only Jazz players to compete twice in the contest. Stockton first participated in 1992 and then again in 1997. He only made 11 in 92 and 13 in 1997, not advancing past their first round either year. Couldn't get past the legend Craig Hodges.
Now, Jeff Hornacek, he's got to be the Jazz GOAT for three-point contest participants, right? He was in the contest twice as a member of the Jazz, as JJ mentioned, winning in 1998, making 17 in the first round, He beat Hubert Davis in the finals with a 16-10 score. Then in 2000, he won again, beating out Dirk Nowitzki and Ray Allen for the title.
Bobby Hansen was the first Jazz player to ever compete in a three-point contest. That was at All-Star Weekend in 1990 in Miami. Hansen made 11 and did not advance out of the first round. Of course, Craig Hodges won that year instead.
Donovan Mitchell won the dunk contest as a rookie, but he would appear in the three-point contest in All-Star Weekend of 2021. Got hot late in the first round, 22 points, but Steph Curry would end up eliminating Donovan.
Mike Conley was also in the three-point contest. That same year, he was an injury replacement for Devin Booker, and he nearly won it all. He had 28 points in the first round, a 27-point second round, and in the finals, he put the pressure on Steph Curry, but Curry made his final money ball to beat Conley by just 1 point.
All right, playoff basketball is already here for some schools in the state this week. In high school hoops, the 2A and 3A boys and girls brackets have already been released.
In Class 4A, 5A, and 6A, still have another week left to boost their RPI ranking before the playoffs.
Yeah, on Friday night, the #1 team in Class 6A, Layton, was in a close game with Farmington. Second quarter, Utah commit Dave Katoa hits the corner three. Layton has a 1-point lead. Then in the second quarter, Farmington's Paul Beatty with the transition slam ties the game up at 34. But in the fourth, Katoa gets inside for the reverse layup to give the Lancers a 4-point lead. They would hold on to win 71-66. They're 20-1 on the season.
They look to be the favorites. Another good one. 4th-ranked Harriman hosting 7th-ranked Riverton. Third quarter, and Riverton's Ben Barris hits the big and one on the three. Finished with 22 points. We go to the fourth quarter. Harriman's Malcolm Johnson finds Cale Barclay. He's going to throw down the hammer. The very next possession, Carlo Mulford finds Barclay for a dagger three. Harriman with a big win, 73-63.
Corner Canyon hosting Copper Hills. Second quarter, Hayden Gribble, the steal. And then how about this acrobatic dime to Isaac Neibauer for the layup. A few possessions later, Neibauer in the corner. He's going to drive in for the layup. He finished with 21 points. Corner Canyon winning 75-40.
Third-ranked Highland in 5A visiting number 10 Skyline. First half, the home team gets the three from James Becker. They have a 12-9 lead. Then another three-pointer, this time from David Rasmussen. Highland get those threes too. Grayson Gaddis will connect. And then Isaiah Drisdom, super sophomore, on the drive, through contact. Highland gets a nice road win, 55-36. We'll be right back.
Good night, everyone.
Thought I was joking?
I lost.